Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an update on AbraSilver Resource Corp. AbraSilver is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker ABRA and on the OTCQX under the ticker ABBRF. And I'm joined today with the president and CEO of AbraSilver, John Miniotis, and the chief geologist of AbraSilver, Dave O'Connor. And John and Dave, great to have you guys on the call as always to get an update. Now, you put out some news to the market on the 27th of January, and these are four of those kind of scout reconnaissance holes that you were testing. This is 3.5 kilometers northeast of the known Oculto deposit at the Diablillos project in Argentina, and you were testing the idea of epithermal systems and porphyry systems, and you put out four holes to the market. John, why don't you kick us off with just a high-level overview of what you learned from this program?
Sounds great. Thanks very much, Chad. It's always a pleasure to be on. So happy to walk you through the results of these initial four holes, as you mentioned, in this new porphyry complex. So these four holes in total were about 2,000 meters of drilling, and I think definitely provide us with some significant insights into this new potential area. So really eager to share some of the highlights with you and your listeners here. Yeah, I'd say the first point to mention is that from our perspective, there are now clearly two distinct targets emerging in this area, which is obviously quite positive. So the first target now is a shallow, high-grade gold zone at Cerro Viejo. And so this is part of a promising near-surface epithermal system. And that was, if you look at the press release we just recently issued, hole 56 was a shallower hole drilled about to just less than 350 meters or so. And that encountered about 36 meters of just under 2 grams per ton of gold. And importantly, this high-grade gold interval started at a very shallow depth. So downhole depth of only 87 meters. So very promising there. I think, this new Cerro Viejo gold target clearly appears to have very good potential for a shallow, high-grade gold zone, which certainly warrants additional follow-up drilling, and we can talk about that. And then importantly, the other three holes were all much deeper holes, so those depths went down to between 620 meters and I think 750 meters, and those holes were focused on an underlying porphyry system. Now, while we didn't intersect any high-grade copper-gold values in those deeper holes, as I mentioned, they certainly provided us with very valuable data. It clearly supports the theory we have that there's a large porphyry system in this area, and Dave, of course, can provide more color on that shortly. But for us, from a high level, I think next steps here, clearly we're working on fully interpreting the results and the data we've received here. We'll likely do some more geological mapping at Cerro Viejo in the near term. That will help us refine our understanding of this new promising epithermal system. And then in due course, of course, we'll be looking to follow up on both the new shallow high-grade gold zone and on this potentially massive porphyry system that we have here. So quite exciting. And I think clearly a new leg to our exploration stool here, drilling this new area, which is just over 3 kilometers to the northeast of Oculto.
Yeah, it's exciting to see this new area developing at Cerro Viejo. Dave, I want to vector in on that hole number 56 first, so we can focus on this shallow, high-grade gold area. It looks like this could be, a whole different mineralized area that could be a growth area for the company because it's shallow. You got gold. It could be something that's amenable to open pit mining. But what can you tell us about how big this area is? What follow-up drilling would look like in this area? Put a little more color around this area you drilled on hole number 56.
Okay, well, the Cerro Viejo and Cerro Blanco area is within a broad quartz-sericite alteration zone related to porphyry mineralization. And within the area, there's probably a cluster of porphyry intrusives, according to various experts. And the epithermal style mineralization in hole number 56 is related to porphyries at depth. So the mineralization migrated upwards and maybe who knows how much laterally, but from a porphyry at depth. It's an epithermal system overprinted on top of the porphyry system. Porphyry system is widespread stockwork and sulfide veining system. within which there's very broad gold mineralization extending over at least a kilometer of 0.1, 0.2 grams per ton over broad thicknesses. But the epithermal overprint at hole number 56 is spatially related to some surface geochemistry in silicious zones which were sampled previously, zones which extend east-west and extend for at least a kilometer in that direction. So we're going to carry out an exploration program, detailed structural mapping, and more surface sampling to see the extent of the mineralization, the gold mineralization at surface before we plan our next drilling campaign to test the shallow gold zone. Now, hole 56, the mineralization of hole 56, gives us the impression that the gold in that hole may be, a large percentage of it may be native gold and amenable to be treated at the Oculto Jack operation. So it's something that could add resources to the Oculto Jack operation. And at the moment, we're considering something in the region of about 2,000 meters of shallow drilling. The mineralization, I wouldn't drill much more than about 300 meters depth on our first pass of the system, which would give us a good idea of the sort of magnitude of high sulfidation, high grade gold mineralization we might expect at Cerro Viejo.
Yeah, I'm glad you tied in that it could be amenable to the operations that you have over at Oculto and Jack, because that was the next question I had was how does this tie into the overall bigger Diablillos project? But you also mentioned that these porphyry expressions at depth are what's producing the gold, the epithermal overprint at surface, and they usually form in clusters. So could there be a lot of other porphyry targets to go after that also have the same kind of style of gold mineralization sitting at surface that you could test on your land package?
Yes, there are, but I mean, the immediate focus is what we've got at Cerro Viejo. But if you look at Cerro Blanco, the hole number 81 to the north, that was drilled, unfortunately, because of access, was drilled in a place that was not optimum for testing the surface mineralization. At Cerro Blanco, there's surface mineralization up to 800 grams per ton molybdenum and up to 2 or 3 grams per ton gold on surface in a quartz breccia system, which is loaded or was loaded with sulfides, which are now jarosite. It's been oxidized. So that's a target that we haven't tested. Historical drilling there of reverse circulation drilling up to 100 meters depth got between 0.3 and 0.6% copper just south of that breccia that I just mentioned. So that's a target that we really should drill and that we didn't drill before because of lack of access. So we have a whole plan there to go through the known zones of geochemistry, copper, gold, moly, and down beneath into the high marginability zone in the geophysics underneath.
Okay. Yeah, and I just was asking it more in a big picture sense that because these porphyry targets often appear in clusters of different porphyries, that you could actually have other pay data out there hiding, but obviously the focus is to follow back up on hole 56, and then, like you say, over at hole 81, maybe test from a different angle and test the surface expression there for some of that gold and moly. So we'll keep tabs on how that develops. Anything else you want to say, Dave, on the other two holes, hole 59 and hole 71?
I think that between the four of them, each one of them has broad intercepts of stockwork veining with the silica and pyrite and other sulfides in certain cases, and broad zones of low-grade gold mineralization. But hole 59 has a series of zones of copper mineralization up to several percent, 1 or 2 meters of several percent, with associated high-grade silver and lead zinc. So I think that's another part of the component of an overprint of an epithermal system as well. So hole 59 warrants closer attention as well.
Okay. Well, it's going to be exciting to see how the follow-up drilling comes together and also some of the different geochemical and soil sampling that we'll be doing to vector in on other targets. John, as we look ahead, when would you anticipate getting back to this area? Because I know you're still drilling at Jack and different parts of the Oculto deposit. So maybe give us a forecast of some of the news flow on tap as far as from all the areas of the project.
Yeah, that's right. I'd say right now our focus, of course, is on completing the phase 4 drill program at Jack and at Oculto. And so that's nearing completion. So by the end of February, we'll be wrapping up. That program is likely going to go over 20,000 meters. So we're wrapping up the final holes here at Jack to the northeast of Oculto as well. And we already have a number of holes at the lab. And so waiting back for assay results. So I think some strong news flow ahead of us here over the coming weeks and months ahead. And then we're going to wrap up that program. That's going to lead to an updated reserve and resource estimate around mid-year this year. And clearly, once this phase 4 program's been wrapped up, that's when we'll plot sort of the next exploration phase, which will for sure include some additional holes here. Yet to be decided how many additional holes we'll be drilling in this new porphyry complex. But yeah, I think as a first pass, we're happy with the results from these initial 4 holes, and clearly, I'd say more work is ahead of us here.
All right, so as you finish up the phase 4 and the over 20,000 meters, you'll have more results coming out from both Jack and the Oculto area. You'll update the resource and reserves, but also, will you be updating the economics at that point, or do you think you want to do another drill program and get phase 5 in before you update the economics again?
No, so after the phase 4 drill programs completed, which is again next month, we put together the updated reserves and resources by mid-year, and then that is the final reserve that's going to get incorporated into the mine plan for the definitive feasibility study. And so we gave a quick update on that in the press release as well. So we're working now on commencing this feasibility study, and that should be ready in early 2026, so about 12 months from now. And so, yeah, I think all of the drilling that we've drilled over the last several months here as part of this phase 4 will get incorporated into that updated reserve. And then that goes into the final mine plan for the definitive feasibility study. So that's obviously a critical milestone for us coming up.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up there, gentlemen. That's a key catalyst coming up for the resource update, and also another key catalyst coming up for the definitive feasibility study, maybe in the first half of next year. But the resource coming out middle of this year. Lots of news on tap in the near term coming out from drill results from Jack and from Oculto. So we'll keep tabs on that. We'll get you back on when those results come back from the lab and have you guys do another update. John, Dave, great to have you on the show as always. And for those listening in, if you want to follow along with the news flow from AbraSilver, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you right over to the AbraSilver website, straight to their news section where you can sign up for updates or just follow along with the news as it hits the wires. And gentlemen, as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Chad.